President Biden is spending his first day in Israel. He will meet with Israeli, Palestinian, and Saudi leaders during the trip to talk security and international oil prices. Joining us now with more is former U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Ambassador Martin Indyk.
He also serves as a U.S. Special Envoy for the Israeli-Palestinian negotiations from July 2013 to June 2014. He's now a distinguished fellow with the Council on Foreign Relations. Ambassador Indyk, welcome. It's great to have you with us. So, President Biden is expected to sign the Jerusalem Declaration. Tell us about this declaration and how it might impact U.S. relations in the Middle East.
Well, it's an updating of a declaration that was made about 20 years ago in terms of strategic cooperation between the United States and Israel. Israel is seen by President Biden and generally in the United States as a steadfast ally of the United States. But now in the 21st century, there are a lot of areas in which they can cooperate that wasn't true before, and that's particularly in the area of high technology, cyber security, and those kinds of relationships, as well as the military-to-military relationships. So I think that overall this declaration will just be a reinforcement of the relationship that has already existed in a very deep and broad way for a long time.
Well, President Biden is planning to speak with both Palestinian and Israeli leaders, but the White House says he will not be laying out any sort of peace deal. Instead, he'll urge both sides to take steps for future peace talks. Why is he taking that approach?
President Biden has been around for a long time, and I think in the time that I was handling the negotiations around 2013, 2014, which was the last time there were actually Israeli-Palestinian negotiations, he was vice president. He was quite, I think, skeptical at that time, and nothing we did was able to take away his skepticism. So he thinks that it's very hard to move things forward in terms of trying to restart negotiations or try to reach a final peace agreement. And he's right about that. The Israeli government is a caretaker government at the moment. It's going into elections. President Abbas of the Palestinian Authority is in the 17th year of his 4-year term. He doesn't really have a mandate to take significant risks for peace. And the Palestinian polity is divided between Hamas in Gaza and the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. So instead, the idea is to take incremental steps that will improve the trust, improve the lives of Palestinians, and try to create better circumstances in which the big compromises can be made. But that can't be done now, and I think that's just the reality.
And Ambassador, as expected, Iran is a major security talking point on the president's trip. What do you think needs to happen to ease tensions or to move the needle in any way in that sort of intractable situation?
Well, the tensions are being ratcheted up by the fact that the Iranians are moving towards a nuclear weapons threshold. President Biden has been trying to get them to go back to the nuclear agreement that would reduce tensions and ship the enriched uranium out of Iran and buy some more breathing space for negotiations. But they don't seem to be willing to do that at the moment. And as the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan just announced on the way over on Air Force One, the Iranians apparently are going to be providing drones to the Russians for the war in Ukraine. And that is seen in very negative light. For the parties in the region, both Israel and the Sunni Arab states that President Biden will be meeting with in Jeddah in a couple of days in Saudi Arabia, they all fear the Iranians' hegemonic ambitions in the region. And so I think that the theme on this trip will be rather how to concert the approaches of Israel and the Sunni Arab states with American support to counter and contain Iran. It has a way to come back into the nuclear agreement and reduce tensions, but if it's not willing to do that, then I'm afraid that we're going to face a kind of containment effort on the part of Israel and the Arab states, supported by the United States. And that's a theme that I think President Biden is going to be stressing on this trip.
It's quite a complicated geopolitical picture. Ambassador Martin Indyk. Mr. Ambassador, thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.